Hello there, you lucky devils. 1 second. 1 itty bitty second.
The very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society.
You're in violation of secure communication procedures, Condor.
So we just went ahead and fixed the glitch.
There is no America. There is no democracy.
Our fifth objective, a new world order.
There are no nations. There are no monsters. There are no Russians. There are no Arabs. There are no third worlds. There is no West.
Right-wing conspiracy.
What do you call it when the assassins accuse the assassin?
A new world order.
Thank you for plugging in to the Stones Unturned podcast.
Well, just a second there, Professor. We fixed the glitch.
I'm your host, Professor Thomas Henry Horan.
He reads everything.
Hello there, you lucky devils. Oh, you better believe he reads everything, and now you can read everything too. The blessed app is finished and working. I don't need to see that. Thank you. Click the link in the description of this video. I can also... Hello. I can also drop it in the chat. Why would anybody pay $20 a month? I don't know. You can go there right now, though, and watch a free live stream, and we can try live streaming with the live persistent chat. It's actually, this live stream is actually already a slate. I will show you how that works. I've got a timer set for it to start in 27 minutes, but no, I just want you to see this. Oh, am I on the right thing? Okay, there we go. This will be a little awkward. But Ask Fred is working, the community is working, notifications are pretty much working. I need to create a couple more. Hi, Baby Bull. I need to create a couple more notifications, and then I would be ready to hear your suggestions and complaints. Tonight, free live stream on the new site. Let's see how it works. One of the cool features is you can select your resolution all the way down to audio only. Does it play when the phone screen is locked? I don't know. I'm going to try that myself in a few minutes. And this is a Galaxy S22 Ultra. This app is so fucking gorgeous. When you get there, okay, it looks like this. You will want to click Watch TSUP, the Stones Unturned podcast, the very top one. Click. It gives you a catalog. There's only one thing on there right now, which is the live stream, and you just click on that. It even looks good on mobile. So on mobile, what you will see is there's an ad. You don't have to upgrade tonight. You will always be bugged by ads. Upgrade, upgrade, upgrade. I don't know why you would, but here, this should auto start without having to refresh the screen. I think tonight it is set on auto mute. I think that's an HTML5 rule or something. We may do a poll on that. So you may have to unmute the audio, but you will get in the player about where I am right about here, you'll see a thing that you can select the resolution, or you can click the button that says audio only. If you need to save bandwidth. A lot of people just listen to this like a podcast. I haven't tried casting. I only have this one phone, and I have a TV I have to plug in my stupid dongle. So when everything else is fixed and working, I will try casting to the TV. So the way it is right now, the video will play here, and the chat is right beneath the video player. As of right now, I don't have it because I show a lot of information on the screen. So I don't have the chat overlaid. If it's something that just breaks your hearts, I'll see about doing a chat overlay. But when the video is playing, you'll be able to go full screen with this. It also looks gorgeous on the computer. Let me see here. This is the admin view, not the... So like when you get there, it's already in slate form. You can already add comments. You can already suggest an entity label. You can suggest a tag. But now you'll need to have a paid subscription. No, you don't have to have a paid subscription to do this. You should be able to contribute for free. And of course, you can do the research. The search thing should be working very well. For example, I search for Berkowitz. I get all kinds of documents. I get all kinds of YouTube videos, not just mine. There will be other videos on here as we add them. All kinds of other documents, books that mention him. So like if we click to this slate that has this YouTube embedded video, my search terms, let me try reloading this. Okay, it's a new deploy. They should pop up. The search term, the video will pop up with the search results already, and you can just flip through the transcript. Tonight, I'm focusing on testing the live streaming. Whatever that error was just from going to the live, going from the dev server to the live. It's probably some key I didn't install or something. Let's try something else. Let's try articles. Let's go back. Let's search for Manson. Let's search for Cameron and see what we get. Okay, here's a YouTube video. Let's try this one and see if this one will load. Nope. See the console for more information. If you have problems, this is what I need. I need you to hit F12, open the console, and copy this stuff and email it to me somehow. There's a support chat. But if your question is, it won't let me, then I can't help you. I need information. This is what I need right here, if you know how to grab it. I need to know what you were trying to do. Let's try a different search result. Let's try Cameron. Let's try one of these. Does this work? Okay, I know what the problem is. I just got the data uploaded early this morning. Look, notifications are working. So what has happened is the app is working. I uploaded the data and I haven't even tried looking at it yet. But I do know that live stream has been working. So hopefully live streaming will work. And I can fix that other thing. Because obviously the data is there. The search results work. It's just there's a pipeline that pulls the thing to show you. Can we see them directly from here? Find one of my videos. Try this one and see. It's just hitting an error when it's trying to pull up the... Okay. Try online articles. See, maybe it's only YouTube videos. What you'll be able to do, I'll get the blog thing working in a few days. There'll be one big, beautiful blog, but each person can have their own contributor page, like Medium, basically building our own Medium. Classic SEP slideshows. Can I see these? So I don't need to know that the YouTube videos aren't loading. I don't need to know that. Looks like the classic slideshows aren't loading either. I will show you how Ask Fred works. I don't know how useful Ask Fred will work, but look how useful this search is. So then we can do like this. We can do John Bonet And we can choose. Let's include a Candy Rose in these searches. And it comes down here. And look, here's all the searches on a Candy Rose that mention John Bonet. And it takes you right to that page. But you can, from this website, actually it's not supposed to do that. It's supposed to take you to a slate. No, okay, this is what it's supposed to do. If you think this is interesting, what you can do is you can grab this link, come back to the app, go to slates. So for a blog article or a thread on another website, what you would do is clear the search, I guess, and you would go to online article. And you would add an article. And you would put in the URL of that page. And add article slate. If you think that one post or that you can add that, and then that'll go into the moderator queue. So let me show you. If you go to my dossier, now you will get 0 stones. I'll tell you what stones are for. Okay, why isn't my submission showing up? You haven't submitted anything for review yet. Yes, I have. And that would show up here, and then I have to moderate it from the private server, and then I ingest it into the data, and it takes a couple days to update it to the data. This is where you'll have your membership and billing information. This might be because I'm logged in as admin. I don't think my stuff is held for admin menu. Let me see if my stuff is held for moderation. No, these aren't held for moderation. Okay. Okay. Those are from I have a user account set up so I can test stuff. Maybe I should be using that right now. No, I have to start the stream. Okay. And I also think I actually have to start the stream locally. Where's the local instance? That's not local. Okay, I don't need 2 of those open. That gives you some idea of what it can do already. Then you can just take each of those slates. You can create your own collection of slates, almost like your own slideshow. And then with your blog, you'll be able to pull any information you want, because you're going to be embedding links. It doesn't have to be to a slate on my website. If you just think there's a YouTube video that you just want to put on your blog, there'll be a way to embed a YouTube video. There'll be a way to embed a offsite image. You don't have to upload Jack. If it's not done as a slate on my site, it won't have the transcript and it won't have the AI and the tagging. But you can do it that way. Actually, one thing you'll be able to do on your own blog is you can have watch parties. You can just embed a link either to one of my videos, a YouTube video, any YouTube video, and then you can just set that up and you guys get together and you just watch it. And I can set that up so that there'll be a chat. And you can just set up a time to watch any video that's stored somewhere online that you want to watch. It's publicly available. You can do that. And it'll just be one big, beautiful blog. That way we get all the publicity we can. If you want to keep it private, you put it on the community and messages. That's where Ask Fred is. Go to... Yeah, I'll put this one over here for now. Okay, so you go to community and messages. So if you want to ask Fred, what I suggest is you don't have to do this. So here's the support thread. This menu page I will make improvements, but so it looks a little prettier. So here's the board for bug reports. Okay. So what I would do is won't load YouTube videos, but looks like slates are okay. And then I'll paste in that error message if I still have it. I didn't get the error message. Well, let me get the error message. Let me do this again. And so you can pull in, if you have other websites you think, I don't scrape anything, I just index it. It's a more detailed index, customized for, searching for this kind of stuff. So let me go to a YouTube video. So looks like the slate is working okay. What's not working okay? Video unavailable. Oh. F12. Okay. Let me copy all of this. If you don't know how to do it, it's okay, but it helps a lot. There's the error message. And I will get that. And that helps me a lot. Okay. Maybe it'll settle down. Because I just got it uploaded, and the last update of the app itself uploaded just a couple of hours ago. So, oh, hey guys. Hi, Gary. Hi, John Toad. You guys can do it anytime. You can set up a watch page and watch any video, and it'll be a thing you can do on your blog. And then, was Ma Barker related to the Manson Barker Ranch? Heard conflicting info. I will look into that, baby bull. I'll look into that right now. No. Okay, sign in to watch this live stream. It should... Is anybody watching it? Did anybody go to the website? What you do is, you go to the website, and when it says watch episodes, and there it is, and you can just click on that, and it'll take you here, and it's waiting for me to start the stream. Oh, starts in 12 minutes and 10 seconds. You shouldn't have to sign in to watch the live stream. You'll have to create a free account. When you get to the website, if you want to see anything, you have to continue with Google. But it won't charge you anything until you pay. Okay. So is anybody there now? Is anybody watching to see if the stream starts? It should auto start, but it will probably be auto muted. Yeah, why is it saying failed to load live stream when it should say the timer? Okay. So I refreshed the screen. I'll look into that. 11 minutes, because I'm going to start the stream here in a minute. Somebody watch it. It worked earlier, so it should watch now. Lawrence of Arabia being murdered or assassinated? He enlisted in the army under a phony name in World War I, became an aviator. But yeah, you guys can set up a watch party on your own blog page. So when I go members only, we will talk about where the money went. Well, I won't go members only on YouTube tonight. I just want to encourage people to try, but I want to see, we got 10 minutes. I want to see if it will auto start for you guys. So go to the top of the chat. See that link in the top of the chat? I'll show you the link in the top of the chat. See the link in the top of the chat? Click on that. Click on that at the top of the chat. It will take you in a splat to this website right here. You will click on, you won't see this many buttons because you're not admin. You will click on watch episodes. You might get the notification. If you do, it should take you there. So if you click on the notification of that video, it should take you there. If you didn't get the notification, go back to the main page and click on watch episodes, and it should show up in this menu. There will be more. I don't have any other hard videos uploaded. They're all YouTube. See, it's already a slate. When the video starts, there will be chat. There will be a tip jar. $1, $3, or $5. If you leave a $5 tip, then you automatically get the 20 stones. But right now, there's nothing for you to spend stones on. Those are like tokens. Fun bucks. Stones unturned stones. You want to see the logo? What did I do with the logo? I'll get the hard drive plugged in. Maybe I should unplug that. Okay, which one is this? Here's what pumpkin stickers look like. Whenever you submit something and it gets approved, you automatically get a pumpkin sticker, and those can be redeemed for... You keep the pumpkin stickers, but those are worth stones. So when you contribute something, you get a token to buy overages if you need them. I don't think you're going to need them. So there's the pumpkin stickers. And here are the stones. I think they turned out great. Here's another idea for stones. The cash register is open. You don't have to break your neck signing up right now. Oh, new members signed up. New members signed up. New members signed up. That's outstanding. Gary, maybe you don't want Stu, Baby Bull. Thank you very much. Yeah, you start off at Lucky Devil and you can't see a whole lot, but it gives you an idea what you're missing. Why anybody would... Now, if you pay the $20 a month, all premium episodes, you don't have to pay for both. You do not have to pay for both YouTube and the website. But don't be in a great big hurry to cancel your YouTube membership yet. Let's test this for a week or so and see if we like it. But you get everything, including... Once I start the live stream, then I'll show you how to do Ask Fred. I'm just tickled that notifications are working. That's the last thing. If you want to develop an app, when it's completely developed, it's been beta tested, you've got paying customers, business has peaked, your industry is on its way out, you've deprecated the app, you burned the code onto clay discs and stored it in an underground salt mine somewhere, that's when you're ready to build notifications. Notifications come last. And by the way, the hardest thing to build was the way this version has to work. And I went ahead and built it. This whole thing was a test to see if I can get this to work and then install this in that much larger educational platform I was telling you about. And that all started when I wanted to build this tool for myself. And thought, well, gosh, other people could use this too. And I thought, well, this would be a good way to do project-based learning on the educational platform, which isn't done yet. Well, it needs a lot of testing. That's what this was for. Then I thought, well, maybe people would want to use it. So there will be, hey, Pat Thomas, there will be, so then when you pay, that's a junior buckaroo. Because you'll be contributing. You shouldn't have to pay to contribute. You'll be able to come to the website and drop links to things that you think are interesting. That'll be free. Are you with me? There will be some public live streams. I'm going to start doing more blogging because the AI can help me generate blogs. Probably don't need... Do you need to see this? That's the community again. This will be... There are some boards. You can, suggest a new one. If you don't... This says topics, and that's would be boards. So if you want to create one, you can create one. These are some that already exist. Like these are categories like assassinations and cold cases, serial killers and crime. You can see all of them. You can create new topics. Okay, and then there's Ask Fred. So what we do in Ask Fred is you create a new thread and you think, what was that question? Somebody asked me a question on YouTube. Was Ma Barker related to the Barker Manson gang, the Barker Manson Ranch? Because obviously, Creepy Carpus was related to. He's the one who taught Charlie how to play guitar. Was Ma Barker gang connected to Manson and the Barker Ranch? Because they were from Kansas City. Creepy Carpus was from Kansas City. This is a good question. Because there's a connection to Cameron. Where the Manson family set up camp. See, there's a question. So post the thread, and then you can discuss. So you try to come up with a good question, and then one of you, anybody can push Ask Fred. So let's try asking Fred. Right now, it's using Google Gemini to ask Fred on the free, because I want to test Gemini for the educational website. Okay, ask Fred. Fred should reply to this. It'll take a minute or so. And it's supposed to search this website as well as, we may need to put in a thing. Based on the provided context, there's no information regarding Ma Barker or whether there is any historical connection between her and the Barker Ranch, while the provided context mentions Barker Ranch. So now you can reply to Fred's. Fred is now participating in the chat. Are you with me? That's how you ask Fred. So up here at the top right, it says, Fred, 1 out of 20 used today. When the 20 out of 20 are gone for the day, you just have to wait till tomorrow. And it's all shared by the community. I don't think at this stage, Ask Fred is going to do a whole lot that the regular search won't just do for us. But let's try this while we're thinking of it. Let me just go to Google Gemini. Any known connection between Ma Barker and the Barker Ranch in Death Valley? Where the Manson family stayed. We know what the connection is. What I'm hoping is what we're going to do on this website is those entities and the entity labels are going to start tying these things together so that the connection between Creepy Carpus and Charles Manson and Ma Barker comes up. Charles Manson's connected to Ma Barker through Creepy Carpus, who taught Manson how to play guitar. Ma Barker's hideout were associated with a house in Ocklawaha, Florida, Death Valley's Barker Ranch. The ranch in the Panamint Range of Death Valley was originally built around 1940 as a mining outpost. I thought it would be older than that. It received its name because it was later purchased in 1955 as a vacation and mining property by a couple named James and Arlene Barker from Oklahoma. It was Arlene Barker's permission that the Manson family later relied upon. That's interesting, but it was the granddaughter who also knew Cameron when Cameron stayed there. Let's try this. I want to try, because it's a separate account. If I do it like this, starting any moment now. Okay, let's get it going. Let's get that going. I need that right there. Let's get this going. Start the live stream and see if it auto plays for you. Starting any moment now. Admin menu, live streams. Go live and we'll see what happens. Cross your fingers. It might not autoplay. I haven't tested that yet. I'm pretty sure I embedded the right stream key. Maybe not. Copy. Go here. Go here. I can't. Can I see the stream key? That is the wrong stream key. Okay. That is why. Oh. Close. In stream. Try again. Where's the try again? Let me delete that one. Create a new one really quick. Create live stream. Public. Title. Welcome again. So what you will have to do, that should be deleted. You'll have to go back. Let me set up a new live stream. Okay, so this one will be called Welcome Again. Try again. 0807 2026. Let's set it for 540. 0 p.m. Create live stream. It's not there. Why is it not there? I knew it. It worked all fucking day. Scheduled public. Why isn't it there? This one's supposed to be deleted, and there's supposed to be a new one. Okay, delete this one. Let me do it like this. Maybe I have to do it here. August the 7th, 2026, tab, 5:45, 0540 p.m., public, create live stream. Well, I think maybe it's time to smash something. Huh. It shows up here. But not here. Well, let's try the original one that did not. Okay. Oh, I see. Which one is this? Nope, that's it. Okay. Go live. Now it's working. So go back to the original one I set up and it should be playing now. And it even auto started on my phone. Yeah, it's working now. Yeah, it's auto muted. So it's got a controller at the bottom of the screen. Let me just, I don't need that one. I see Gary Bellwood in the chat. Hi, Gary. It's good I didn't have to stop the YouTube stream in order to fix that problem. I think I'm really going to like this. Let's try. Okay, now let's see. I need to keep talking so I'll know if it's anything coming through on the audio. That's not working. Hold on a minute. Let me play something. Let me play an old episode. Because I need to see. I need to keep talking so I'll know if it's anything coming through on the audio. Yeah, that works. Okay. That's not working. Hold on a minute. Let me play something. Now let me see if the audio comes through while the phone is locked. I'm not hearing anything. I'm not hearing anything. Now I'm hearing something. Let me play an old episode. Now I'm not hearing any. Okay, now let me see. I need to see. I need to keep talking so I'll know if it's anything coming. Okay. Through on the audio. Yeah, that works. Okay. Yeah, it's working on lock screen. Hold on a minute. Let me play something. Now let me see if the audio comes through while the phone is locked. Yep. Yep. Yes, you should be able to hear it when the phone is locked. And then the audio or the resolution in audio only is here. Is that working? Yeah, that is working. Okay, I don't want to get feedback going on. Hey, it works. What do you know? Then if you go full screen, I don't think you can see the chat. So the chat, you have to watch the thing and not in full screen. Okay, well. Oh, emojis are working? That's awesome. That's awesome. That's very awesome. Well, let's get to the episode then. Where did the money go? Let me explain something to you really quickly. Everything you think you know about Wolfie Schicklgruber and the Holocaust is a myth. To catch you up, well, here's what really happened. What really happened was it was all about the money. I'm going to go into more detail later. You need to know this now before we get back to Manson and Son of Sam and Zodiac and all of that. The thing that ties them all together is the money. But there's a reason why certain people got tied into the money. And that's the other thing we're looking for. So what happened was all this stuff, I've explained in previous members-only episodes. The main thing you need to remember right now is it was all about the money. And Schicklgruber was just a sock puppet. Not that I'm absolving him of any blame, but he was just a sock puppet. To make a long story short, the myth is, like the myth that he was popular, the myth that he hypnotized all these people. One of the funny things that I noticed about it, about the Nazi regime, was that the generals and the soldiers and the sailors were all trying to win the war. There were lots of people in the government, including Albert Speer, who were trying to win the war. But the rest of them, the Nazis, weren't even trying to win the war. In fact, sometimes it seemed like maybe they didn't even care. And sometimes it seemed like what? Sometimes it seemed like Hitler was losing the war on purpose. And if you look into it, we don't have to go into it in great detail tonight, but if you look into the history of the regime, they help the previous industrial military establishment get control of the country again. And then they're allowed to, like, the reason Hitler rushes through the rearmament program and starts the war 5 years ahead of schedule is to get that, to fulfill all those promises. The industrialists were never promised 6 years of war contracts. They were promised 5 years of rearmament contracts. And once Germany had achieved rearmament and was too powerful for the rest of the world, to disarm them without starting a war, that was their plan. And, maybe take back the Rhineland and Western Poland. That was their plan. When that plan was finished, Schicklgruber said, well, you're done. Now we start over with new contracts, which really go into effect in 1943. Because they had a rearmament program, then they had their 4-year plan to do the war production, and beginning at the end of 1942, the so-called, which is coincident with the so-called Wannsee Conference, and into early 1943, all of a sudden, nobody's trying to win the war except the generals and the soldiers. It's all about the money. All new contracts, procurement contracts, and they're not all coming from the army anymore. Now they're coming from the Waffen-SS. Now they're coming from the Allgemeine SS. Now contracts are being given, and here's another one here's a myth. The SS invented slave labor in the Third Reich. Nothing could be further from the truth. Up until 1943, industry, like you see in the movie Schindler's List, Schindler goes to Poland. He makes a deal with the local Jewish community leaders to hire labor. That's how it was done early on. The employers hired the labor directly. They hired private security guards. They built the canteens. They built the housing. And they were given free laborers, usually. So like the government would have prisoners of war. After the skirmishes in Poland and France, they had a population of prisoners of war. So instead of the government having to feed these guys and house them and guard them, they would dump them off at these big industrial complexes as free labor. You feed them, blah, 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 and keep them out of our hair. This went on in Germany and a lot of other countries up until 1943. Beginning of 1943, all of a sudden the SS says, you will now pay us a flat fee for labor. We will provide the accommodations, the food, the medical care, and the guards and the administrative services. This will be labor as a service. This will be labor in a box. And you will be absolved of all whatever responsibilities you used to have. Now, this is double dipping. This way, the Allgemeine SS collects the fees for the labor. That's why they are incentivized to reduce costs. And second of all, they rob these people blind. That they weren't allowed to do, or they didn't have as many opportunities to do before under the existing system. Before this, between the world wars, Germany had suffered, they lost a lot of men during the war. And when the economy would start to recover, there'd be a labor shortage. They had to bring in all of these immigrant workers from the East who are fleeing Soviet oppression. A lot of them are Jews. These are Gastarbeiter, just guest workers, just exactly like we have today. Once again, these are private labor. The regime slowly, like the Allgemeine SS starts their own labor service, like a Kelly Services. It's not the only one. They're competing. And as time goes by, they get more and more of these contracts. But at first, they're just being brought in. The employers are responsible for housing and feeding these people and paying them whatever pittance they can get away with paying them, and then let these people go home. This system had been in place since before the so-called seizure of power, before the so-called Revolution of 33. This had been going on for a long time. And people were complaining about bringing in all these unwashed foreign workers. Are you with me? Well, that's part of it, John Toad. But the other thing about it is those contracts for rearmament with those arms companies were not forever. Those had finished. The 4-year plan had been finished. They had a schedule or whatever. I'm not going to nitpick over dates at the moment. None of that matters. What matters is the war now. And you're right. It's like a unicycle on a high wire. It has to keep moving forward or it falls off. There's no doubt about that. But all of those contracts have been paid off. From now on, the new contracts are going to be open to bid for a lot of SS front companies. And they're going to get their beak in there in 20 different ways. They're suddenly going to be the ones who own the coal mines in the east. They're going to be the ones who own the iron mines of Silesia. They're going to be the ones, that it might not be open and above board either. Then what happens is, I'm buying coal, iron, and labor from the Allgemeine SS or from their front companies. As always, they will have their company representatives at the factory. But if they're SS, there's an implied threat there to everybody in the factory, including the president of the factory. And they go along with this because it's either this or the regime will nationalize your factory. Which would you prefer? But long before they get this offer they can't refuse, they have been profiting from free labor for a long time. Don't let them kid you. It's all about who gets the money. And like I said, the SS is also robbing these people before they even get on the train. Some of them paid bribes to get on the trains. So when you see all this backdoor machinations about I need this train to move these people from here to here, all of that stuff, it was illegal. It was off the books. It was undercover. It was camera noir. All of that stuff was all about skimming the money and transferring it to South America. I don't think any of these guys cared whether Germany won the war or not. I think a lot of them were, let's destroy Germany and it will cover their tracks. All of the money they're making, and it's a scramble to make money. Goering has his art collection. Well, we won't get our beaks very wet in that. He's got all the art. What are we going to do? There's a scramble to make money. That, chisel here, chisel there, chisel here, chisel there. And the German war economy just plummets because of this. Because they're not trying to win the war at all. They're just trying to grab, it's smash and grab for the money and run. Kristallnacht. It's all about the money. Now, there has to be somebody on the other end. There has to be a Jeffrey Epstein on the other end who has the money laundering bank. And I'm not talking about Switzerland. That's after World War II. Before World War II, yeah, Switzerland, blah, blah, blah. Switzerland had all kinds of contracts to manufacture all those. And here's another thing. And this goes back to the Freikorps in the very beginning. They use this quasi-legal excuse of, we've been stripped of a national army, but we need a militia to defend ourselves. That's a principle of international law. We can defend ourselves from invasion and from civil unrest. So they take this old concept of the Freikorps and they really crank it up, okay? And what that does is creates a legal precedent. And this is an alternative army, and the army establishment are aware of this. So when the secret rearmament plus by the time they get around to public works, there were no Germans working on the roads. Those were all immigrant Gastarbeiter, and then prisoners of war, and then Jews or whatever. They were shipping Polish prisoners of war. I don't think they shipped Jewish concentration camp people, but they shipped Polish prisoners of war to work on fortifications on the Isle of Wight, the Channel Islands that the Germans captured. But this was not they had a system, but then the SS and the Nazi cronies get in there and they start gaming it and they start wedging in there and they start taking over. They get the CEO of a corporation to retire after the 5-year program is complete. Now there's a war on and we got all these pressures. Why don't you just let me run the company? Kind of a deal. And that's how they get control. And that's why they start losing the war, because they don't know what they're doing. But I, after studying this for 40 years, began to realize they weren't trying to win the war. Speer was trying to win the war. The generals and the soldiers are trying to win the war. Nobody else is even trying to win the war. They don't even care. And I think, and Hitler had these bizarre fantasies about Germany being almost destroyed, blah, 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 blah. Nobody's trying to win the war. And in fact, they're trying to burn the temple down so nobody knows what happened to the money. But they run into a snag. And I'm going to toot his horn. I'm going to toot that motherfucker's horn for 2 things. One of them is building the first modern scientific criminal investigation service, the best one the world has ever seen, and that's the FBI. And the second thing is his counterintelligence, J. Edgar Hoover's counterintelligence, shut off all of those Nazi escape routes long before the war was over. They had nowhere to go. Or at best, as they found out when the war was over, they had a very narrow tunnel they could get out from. But before the war, and we'll go over this later in another episode, this will matter. They were setting up the Fourth Reich in South America and other countries long before Hitler ever came along. And that's where they were planning to go to. And some of them were allowed to go there, but under control of the West. Don't let the Western allies fool you. Nobody snuck out of Europe. Nobody snuck out of Europe. They were allowed to do this. But they'd set that up years in advance, and it wasn't Switzerland, sweetie, darling. It was Sweden. Sweden. Hitler's money is not hidden in a Swiss bank account. Hitler's money is hidden in a Swedish bank account. Before World War II, Sweden was the money laundering secret bank account capital of the world. I am not kidding. But this has everything to do with seized Russian assets that the Soviet Union were denied access to until Roosevelt recognized the Soviet Union in 1933. That's very important. We'll come back to that. The only reason you need to know that is because remember, first it was the Thule Society who got decimated right away. Money runs out from the end of 1919 on. It's the Russians who were funding the NSDAP. The Russians. These dispossessed Russian emigres. Some of them are Jewish. But they want the communists, they want the Leninists, they want the Bolsheviks overthrown. And they'll deal with anybody. They dealt with Woodrow Wilson. They dealt with FDR. They dealt with Hitler and Mussolini. Anybody they could deal with. And how they could make a deal with these Nazi thieves is because they came from... This goes back to your Thule Society. This goes back to your blood and soil horse shit. This goes back to your esoteric Nordic blah, blah, blah. Because that money, okay, you got your pockets full of money, but you can't just carry it around in your pocket. You got to stash it somewhere. That goes out through Switzerland, but it also goes out through Sweden. Some of it went out through British banks in the Bahamas and Bermuda. That's what that's what the Duke was up to. The FBI warned him about that. But the FBI, they did a really good job. By 1943-44, the Nazis got nowhere in South America to go already. They're just as trapped as the Jews. See, what happens is no country will take in the Jews, and Britain shuts off Jewish immigration into Palestine before the war. For a lot of reasons. There's a really good documentary about the mess in the Middle East that we're living with today was created by the British in the around 1910 to 1920. All the lies and false promises the British made to everybody. They have nowhere to go. So they're desperate to go to the resettlement land in Poland, and that's how they get robbed, and that's how they get exterminated. And here's another thing. You think, well, what a waste. What a waste of all those workers. You keep slaves around. You don't understand. They made more money with turnover because they could rob more people, kind of a thing. It was 99% about the money. And this takes us right back to Professor Thomas Henry Horan's 5 golden rules of homicide and cold case investigation. Rule number 1, the most horrifying crimes you have ever heard of were committed for money. So when I tell you Fred and Rose West, for example, and Rose West did things to people that would make Joseph Mengele puke. I'm telling you that was mostly about the money. Somebody was paying her to do that. Somebody was paying them to do that. We know they made various recordings and photographs. We know this. Right? We know this stuff was going on. And the Holocaust was 99% about the money. To get people to go along, well, you just give them whatever excuse works. It's all about the money. But the people who are supposed to receive that money are also, that's where your German-American Bund. And what ties all of these goofy groups together? All these rich people and bankers and all these people, what's the one thing that ties them all together? You have this, you can lump it under Golden Dawn, Crowleyite, blah, blah, blah. And that includes, so these esotericists, these theosophists, but even before Madame Blavatsky, it's a guy from Sweden. You remember Charles Lindbergh, the famous aviator, the phony kidnapping of his little boy. His real name is Charles Manson Jr. Not kidding. Maybe you haven't seen that episode. Manson with 2 S's. Charles Manson's grandfather was an illegal immigrant, fugitive from Swedish banking justice. He fled to the United States with his mistress and illegitimate son, Charles Manson Sr. They changed their name to Lindbergh. Charles Manson's father became a senator or representative. They lived in Pennsylvania, wherever they lived at the time, and was violently opposed to the Federal Reserve Bank. He was a white Christian nationalist and all of this stuff. He was all of that stuff. But his father was an illegal immigrant and fugitive from Swedish banking justice. Guess who supported Lindbergh? And Lindbergh and the German-American Bund is all like this. Those guys in the German-American Bund, what do they have in common with the Nazi rocket scientists? They're all into this occult shit. They're all into this general occult shit. And it all goes back to a Swede called Emanuel Swedenborg. William Branham. The Mormons. The UFO cult. Ancient astronauts. Reformed Protestant Christianity. Now, you can go to a Reformed Presbyterian church and not know it's not all evil, but the elites, the ones with the egos, right? Oh, the secret teachings of Jesus. It's infected every major branch. That's who they go to. That's who they go to launder this money. That's who has been supporting them. That's who's been doing this and doing that. It's not just that they stole all that money, but what were they going to do with it and who was going to help them do it? And I'm telling you, Jeffrey Epstein just was the next generation of that loop. This goes back to Christopher Columbus. This goes back to John Cabot. This goes back to the Stanfords and the Folgers. This goes back to the Crusades. It's all about the money. And the only reason I mentioned that Schicklgruber didn't actually do anything is because when you realize he didn't do shit, and you look at who did do shit, you realize they're not trying to win the war. They're just all it's a grab for money. It's a money grab. I mean, it's not just a money grab. It's a Holocaust. And it's all about the money. But it's who they were planning to deal with that is the subject of the rest of this podcast from now on. And where does all of this magic come in? It's not that each individual member of these cults think that I'm going to be the emperor of the world, but my magic might help generate or summon forth the emperor of the world, create the kingdom of Mexico. Hoover took that over. Now, he kept that as his intelligence division and counterintelligence division, all cloak and dagger. He started the criminal investigation division and made it the model of the world. But he absorbed John Jacob Nosovisky to Gaston Bullock Means. They all worked for the original Bureau of Investigation. And they were all tangled up with these Okrona, Abwehr, blah, 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 spy networks, which included a lot of occultists and esotericists. That's how they all know each other. Aleister Crowley went to St. Petersburg to try to be Rasputin. That didn't pan out. So another guy popped up, almost got wedged in there, got kicked out, and Rasputin got on a train. This was like a day, got on a train and went straight to St. Petersburg and ingratiated himself with the royal family. It's all about the money. Now, here's something interesting. All right. This is a Stones Unturned podcast exclusive. You've never been told this. I've hinted around in other podcasts that, exactly like Parsons. See, on all the Nazi rocket scientists, all of them. See, in the beginning, the only magazines that would publish their articles, they couldn't get any engineering journals to publish their articles. The only magazines that would publish their articles were the science fiction magazines. A lot of those guys believe that shit. That 2001 A Space Odyssey, a lot of those German, pan-German, American rocket scientists, I think that Charles Lindbergh believed in that shit. A lot of that shit. Basically believed in Thelemites. Scientology is just a ripoff of this. It's just a ripoff of it. It's a cheap plagiarizing of this thing. But those are the people that were in the social networks and communities. I know a rich banker, and we got the same ring. We know the same handshake. Maybe he'll help us out. This is how it works. I know all about fraud. I know all about embezzlement. I know all about misappropriating funds. I know all about misappropriating public funds. And the more I look at the Nazi regime, all I see is a huge, and they're using mafia tactics. Now, here's something interesting. Well, there were two interesting things. Lenin said, where did he get this idea? Lenin said, we don't need to take over the whole country. All we need to do is take over the railroad stations and the telegraph offices. And before Hitler was demobilized, first he joined the Soviet, turned rat. That was interesting, and I'll tell you why in a minute. Then he volunteered to guard some Russian prisoners at a POW camp. Keep drawing his army paycheck. The last duty he posted before he was demobilized was he was a sentry pulling guard duty at the railroad station in Munich. That put him in contact with a lot of officers, and he knows how many guys are going to Thuringia to join Freikorps Epp. Right, they're going to come back and crush this socialist uprising. He knows about that. But Lenin said, we don't need to seize the whole country. We just need to seize control of the railroad stations and the telegraph offices. And we control the country. And everybody thinks we control the country. And he was right. And I only mention that because in 1932, when the NSDAP were starting to lose whatever surge they had in the polls, Joseph Stalin ordered the Comintern, the people who ran chaos in those days. He told them, stop attacking the Nazis and the right-wing parties in Germany and get rid of the moderate left-wingers. Stalin made Chancellor Adolf Hitler. Had Stalin not done that, if Stalin had not, by direct order, completely splintered the left, the radical left, the socialist insurgents in Germany, they would have had a socialist. Stalin foresaw, they were very close. Who was the leader of the mainstream socialist or whatever in Germany? They were going to offer him the compromise deal to try to form a coalition government. And Stalin fucked that up, personally and directly, by a direct order. And a few years later, all of a sudden, Stalin and Hitler make this surprise non-aggression pact. I'm going to make a speech here. There's all this complaint about how America didn't do anything to stop Hitler. Well, how? Why? We're supposed to do what now? Think about what happened. France didn't have a government for 20 years. They had how many? Cabinet government isn't continuous like the American government. Every move Hitler made, or supposedly Hitler made, was done when France didn't have a sitting cabinet at all. So over a couple of years, okay, and you see this in American propaganda, and you see it in the American Hollywood. Hollywood was red in the 30s, and Washington was pink. Hollywood was red. They burned all those movies. But this is all about Roosevelt normalizing. What we did was we kept all those seized assets, all of it. It was all about the money. Recognizing communism in the Soviet Union was all about the money. You know nothing about how bad you've been over the years. You don't have any idea how you're getting fucked. How many times, how far back it goes. You have no idea. It's all about the money. My point is, Stalin, if it hadn't, Stalin saved Schicklgruber, and Schicklgruber cut this deal with Stalin. So you're America. You're watching all of this. All of the diplomatic studies journals have all been saying that, okay, let me go back to the Versailles Peace Conference. You need to know this. This week's history quiz question: who said, "I've never seen so many stupid people packed in one room in all my life"? Answer: John Maynard Keynes. Economic genius. It's all about fiscal policy. It's all about tax and spend. How you tax, how you spend. That's John Maynard Keynes. Queer as $3 bill. And it mattered a lot because not only did he not hide it, he and his wife were notorious for having orgies. Never tried to hide it. But he was on the British delegation to the Versailles Peace Conference, and he said, "I have never seen so many stupid people packed in one room in all my life." And he meant it. He said it publicly. He said then, and he eventually wrote a book about it, he said this treaty, he coined the phrase Second World War. He said this treaty will lead directly and inevitably to a Second World War. Nobody believed him. This all matters. It all matters because he was absolutely right. And of course, the armaments companies, it was all about the money. When Hitler and his comrades stepped over the Belgian border, they were cut down by German manufactured. The Belgian army, Hitler got there 6 weeks after the war started, but when the German troops stepped over the border into Belgium, they ran in. The Belgians had more advanced weapons from Krupp and Daimler-Benz and than the German army did. If it hadn't been for Stalin. But you're America. So now, okay, so all the diplomatic journals say the Second World War is going to be between the United States and the British Empire because the United States has no room to grow. Okay? All of a sudden, the Germans, are they better than the Russians? What should we do? Blah, 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 blah. Europe won't stand up to Hitler for shit, but America's supposed to. You know how many German American immigrants there were in America? We're supposed to stand up to Hitler? On behalf of who? The Soviet Union? Then all of a sudden, they're allies. So if you watch American propaganda and American movies and popular media, the Russians are just like us. They're socialist. You know, they have all these democratic reforms because, you know, there's no satellites. There's no truth coming out of the Soviet except Ayn Rand. Then all of a sudden it's like, oh, they're allies with Adolf Hitler, so now they're our enemies. And this lasts for about a week in 1939. Then all of a sudden they're our gallant Soviet allies. And then, okay, and now while all this is going on, Germany invades Poland. France could have just walked into Germany and taken over Berlin. They didn't do that. So America is supposed to be on whose side? Then they wake up one morning, they switch sides. Right now the British and the French are at each other. How is America supposed to even know which side is who anybody's on? And this is all about the money. Because Chamberlain gave away Czechoslovakia on a verbal promise from Hitler that Hitler would not try to take Western Poland because the British had made all these investments there. And that included heavy investments in the textile industry in Lutz, Poland, where Roman Polanski's family lived, where they were shipped off. I think they were shipped off to another ghetto first, then Auschwitz. And Roman somehow evaded all of that and grew up to be the best friend of the son of a textile business owner in Lutz, who not only did not have his factory stolen by the SS or the Germans in World War II, they actually gave him a contract to make the camouflage fabric for the Waffen SS. And when the Soviets liberated Lutz, they didn't line him up against the wall and shoot him as a collaborator. They just gave him a contract to make camouflage fabric for Soviet. If you look at Russian paratrooper camouflage and you look at 1944-45 Waffen SS camouflage, it's exactly the same. And he obviously had business connections to the British, because he sponsors Roman Polanski's first couple of films and then sells them to the British film industry. It's all about the money. It always was all about the money. And the purpose of the myth is to distract you from the fact that it was all about the money. All right? How's that for a live stream? Am I still live streaming? Okay. That's about all I've got energy left for. Let me look at your comments. Which one? I better close that one. So there's a notification. The Stone Center podcast live is live now. When you go to your dossier, you should be able to set your notification preferences of which email notifications you actually want to receive. You're going to get spammed with notifications from this website, every little thing that happens, every time somebody replies to a comment or anything. Are you with me? Gary, Pat Thomas, hi everybody. Let me see. Let me look and see if there are comments on the Why isn't this showing up here? I see a stream. What's it called? Welcome to the Stones Unturned Podcast Live. Oh, I'm on the wrong. Okay, hold on. Go here. Try watch episodes. Watch now. As soon as I get off here, I'll clean up some of these bugs. I'll play with it more and see what's really going on. Is there chat? Nobody chatted? Somebody chatted. Wasn't there live chat on the... I saw live chat somewhere. There's chat there. Maybe because I'm logged in as admin. Let me see on here. Admin needs to see the chat. Yep, I can see it on here. Oh, if I refresh the screen, then I have missed the previous chat. Let me see if I can fix that tonight. And then once, it'll be like 12 hours or more for this video to process and be transcribed. And then it'll show back up again as a video you can watch, and the slate and the comments and the live chat will all be there. It does record the live chat. So looks like it's just been a minute since there's been live chat. Let me see if I can get that to persist better. Okay. Let me end this. It's not on here. So I need to do this from the live site, apparently. Go back. How do I end the stream? I need to end this stream. That's not going to work. Oh, no. Oh, no. So deleting it from my... Oh, crap. I better get off of here and get this going to keep burning. It's going to make the video even longer. I got to figure out a way to stop this. Oh, crap. No, there it is, in stream. Okay. So I'm going to say goodbye to the premium website first. That's a relief. That is a relief. And then I'll be back either Saturday or Sunday with an even more complete episode. Try this again. Thank you all very much. Good night. God bless. Please take care of yourselves and each other. And please stay plugged in to the Stones Unturned podcast. I'm Professor Thomas Henry Horan, asking you to please stay plugged in to the Stones Unturned podcast.
He reads everything.
He also builds kick-ass websites. I'll see you guys very soon. In stream. Okay. Maybe I need to clean up the admin view so I can see things better. Wooj, Luge. Thanks, Goose. Yeah, that's right, Toad. Wait till you hear about the truth about Sir Humphrey Davy. All right. Thank you guys very much. Let me get off here and hammer on the app a little bit more before I pass out. Thank you guys so much. Have a great night. Etc., etc., etc. I'll see you in a couple of days.